Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters. We have Game 5 on the way. PDW versus Movistar Riders. And if PDW win, it means we'll go to a tiebreaker between these two to determine first seed. Movistar did just come off a very clean game, though. It wasn't exactly steamrollery, but it was calm, collected, and I think they played the game out exactly the way they wanted to. They also do have that previous win over PDW, looking to set themselves apart as the absolute top-tier team in this group.
Despite being the number 3 seed coming out of their region, which is shocking. How good is the Superliga, by the way, with how they're able to produce all of these teams? 2 of their teams are already out. We're going to see UCAM later, see if they can match that one up as well. PDW, on the other hand, also a team looking very, very impressive. The number 1 seed coming out of the Ultraliga in Poland. Always high expectations for the Polish teams. One of the better regions that we have here. And of course, the winners of EU Masters this time last year.
They had a really clean game versus Tricked earlier on. You see Movistar Riders just getting some replays of that game versus Penta. Beautifully played team fights. Everybody playing their part here. And you actually picked up on a point that I wanted to expand on a little further. I think the Superliga has had a couple of years of somewhat poor performances at the European Masters. I think they've been a little bit muted compared to the rise of the LFL and the previous dominance of the Prime League in the dark. I think overall, this is a huge resurgence for the Superliga. And honestly, Giants and Movistar Riders leading the way on that front. Absolutely coming into this European Masters to reclaim that Spanish glory, especially ahead of all of the crazy announcements that we've had for the Superliga over the last week. It is shaping up to be a Titan Titan of the European scene once more, to contest with LFL, who have been so dominant for so long.
Absolutely. When we first started doing EU Masters, I remember it was 2018. All the talk was about Superliga. It was all about the Spanish league, how they were the best regional league, and they were very good, and they won it, I believe, in summer of 2018. With Mad Lions, actually it was at the time. A lot of familiar faces on that squad who have then gone on to play in the LEC. And it really hasn't been the same since, honestly. Exactly as you say, like, it has been the LFL, it has been the Ultraliga, and now they're looking to retake that spot, as you say, in European Masters regional glory. And what better way to do it than to beat the number 1 Polish team?
Absolutely. And as I said, you mentioned the Ultraliga. They had a pretty poor performance in spring this time round. They are looking to get back on that horse, looking to get back and claim that's thrown away from the LFL. And let's be real, the LFL look as strong as ever. So it is really shaping up to be an insane knockout series here in the European Masters. Those quarterfinals are going to be spicy once we get those groups concluded. Now, PDW here on blue side, Movistar Riders over on red. We'll see an immediate ban of the Trundle here. No Trundles in this game, no trolling.
No trolling allowed. It's going to be the first ban. We'll see if that's going to lead to more jungle bans. Trundle is a flex, but we've seen him mostly in that jungle role. Viego, Lee Sin, Trundle kind of being the most picked 3 junglers of the tournament so far. But both Maxlore and Bruness will be very... sorry, I forgot Zhao. That's the 4. That's the 4, the Holy Quadrinity, not the Trinity. We've got Maxlore and Bruness, who are both very happy to play all those champions, whether it is the Zin, the Lee Sin, the Viego, whatever. So we'll probably see a handshake of junglers. I wouldn't be too surprised. There's the Lee Sin. So Viego, Zhao. Is that what we're going to see here, or are we going to see some stranger things in that jungle?
Maxlore has had an incredible set of performances on Viego, so maybe PDW look to take that, but they will get the Zhao here. So it means that you don't need to necessarily go for Viego at this point in time if you want to secure other things. You're not expecting that to go into the lane. I know when Viego was first released, we did see some top lane Viego, sometimes some mid lane Viego, but it has firmly settled into that jungle role. So it means that Movistar now could secure it, but they don't have to. They do have options on the table.
Looks like we're going to be hovering over some mid choices as well. One of the benefits right now of picking your mid laners, you can kind of deny it away from the opposing team, because I think both XKenzuke and Czajek have similar-ish champion pools. They both play LeBlanc, that's been taken away. They both play Ryze, which is now being picked up by XKenzuke. And that Thresh pick is obviously just... I love Thresh as just like, you just slap it down as a support. It's so good in like whatever role you want to, well, obviously support, but like whatever role within the support role, whether you want him to play more aggressive, more passive. And it means you can lock in pretty much just any AD carry alongside him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you a hyper carry option. Aphelios has been the most common pickup with that Thresh, and that will be taken away here by PDW. One of the great things that I like about Movistar Riders, the fact that xKenzuke is so happy to play Ryze into a multitude of matchups, means that you have more flexibility on your red side draft as well, to potentially look for some counters. Now, this is the point where you would have to pick that Viego, because the second round of bans will be coming your way, and so that will be locked in and secured by Movistar Riders.
Yeah, now Venzer's going to get his ADC pool pinched fair amount right here from PDW. You would expect. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Caitlyn go down as well.
No, yeah.
I think that would, into Aphelios, Braum, getting some range, you can really do a number on that lane. We'll see what else they decide to go for. Movistar, on the other hand, might just focus more towards the mid lane pool. I don't know whether, Twisted Fate might be a decent ban here as well. I'm not really sure if you want to. I think Ryze is obviously fine in Twisted Fate, but whether you just want to kind of. I think it's powerful if you do end up picking up like a strong AD carry lane to like block away like the mid laners that can roam, because you just want them to do their thing in bot side, and you don't want anyone to ruin the party, which would happen if you had that Twisted Fate.
Going to see a Gangplank and an Ornn ban here. So we're actually seeing some targeting. Twisted Fate ban, you did mention it there. It will get thrown into the mix by Movistar Riders. And a lot of AD carries still left open. We have sometimes seen Jinx locked in with the Thresh. I'm expecting that Caitlyn is being thought of. I would not be surprised to see Ashe once more. But it's the Kennen that gets taken away here. So Marky's Kennen to prevent that kind of strong teamfight combination with the Ryze. This will be the point where I expect the AD carry to come in here for Venzer. He knows exactly what lane he's playing into, and they still want to potentially offer that Marky counter pick. We'll see. Jinx is, again, we said, something that does commonly get locked in with the Thresh, and it will give a hyper carry option over to Movistar Riders.
Yeah, so there's like 3 main options that you pair with Thresh, which is like the Aphelios, Jinx, and Varus. Basically, any ADC that kind of doesn't do good at protecting themselves, and Jinx is a massive hyper carry alongside the Aphelios, obviously, and Venzer he's been absolutely sublime so far in E-Masters. He's been Movistar's hardest to carry. Do expect more attention being put bot side this game as we compared to last game, however, but as soon as you get that kind of like 3-item spikes on Jinx, like you just completely take over the game, and you got a lot of protection as well with that Thresh input.
Well, it is going to be the Orianna for Czajek here. Going to be taking that into the mid lane. Again, some scaling carries here for PDW. Very powerful teamfight presence. But the Jayce is that kind of almost weird addition to the lineup here. Maybe doesn't fit exactly what the rest of the team wants to do, but it will get locked in and wait for Movistar Riders to have their answer into this matchup. I think Jayce, a pretty solid blind pick. There aren't many top laners that do well into Jayce in a 1v1 matchup. Now Movistar Riders are going to be looking for their answer into this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know whether you really pick Renekton into Jayce, but people just pick something safe, really. Just pick something chill out. Unless that's Jet. Oh, it's going to be the Malphite instead. All right, cool. So you're going to proper chilled instead. I think really like the purpose of having a Jayce here is like it gives you one lane that you know is going to have priority, that you know is going to win, because Aphelios, Braum, might not necessarily have the same amount of pressure. Ryze into Orianna as well, it could be a similar deal. And all in all, it's not a bad blind pick, because you've taken away a decent amount of champions right now in the bans that you're going to get a good matchup anyway. But I do think that Malphite is really solid and really good in this team comp as well, and just plays for those team fights, which is exactly what I want to do.
Absolutely, and I think again a similar style of comp. I think realistically Malphite providing the same kind of tool that Kennen did in the previous game, just looking to be that engaged tool, looking to be as disruptive as possible, and especially because you have so many low mobility carries on PDW, Malphite going to be getting value on some of those engages, unless the flashes are really quick. I think we could be looking at something that will impact these fights pretty heavily. However, as you mentioned, it's not exactly a lane that you win, and you do have to be careful versus the Jayce. There'll be natural priority on the top side of the map that maybe PDW look to exploit through the use of that Rift Herald early on.
Absolutely, like you said, Malphite jumping into an Orianna, into an Aphelios, or even a Jayce. If you do want to put that range down, get that poke through from PDW, there's not a huge amount of it, but hard engage is how you break that, and you've got enough of it, but that's not going to be a problem this game. And anyone that you land onto, you can follow up with the rest of the team. And that's going to be problematic for PDW as we get on into this game.
So now we've got a bit more holistic look at these compositions. What do you think they're trying to do? Like, I think Movistar Riders have a similar kind of angle. They've definitely got scaling that they want to be working towards both the Ryze and the Jinx. You know, in terms of what I think they're wanting to do, it looks very similar to their previous game. But for PDW, what are you expecting from them?
I'm honestly thinking both these teams want to do similar stuff. Like, I think that team fighting is pretty good. You've got like the core components of any good team fighting comp. You have a solid carry in the bot side for both teams. You have protection for that as well. You've got good utility and like AoE abilities as well. I think the big difference from these team comps is like Jayce is the one who's going to be in the side lane and Ryze is the one who's going to be in the side lane for Movistar. And I think in general side lane pressure is a bit stronger for Movistar, so you can like maybe look to play through the sides and then collapse and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it honestly will come down to whether a team can like just get an advantage a bit early on. Not that these teams are necessarily early game teams, but because they're so evenly matched in what they want to do, whichever team just can like win through the wallet in a sense is probably the team that's going to come out on top, at least in the early game.
I think one of the things that I'm thinking about is kind of like how we deal with these carries, right? Like especially the Aphelios versus the Jinx matchup. Like what kills the Jinx versus what kills the Aphelios. And when you're looking at the way that PDW want to play, you are, I think, very reliant on either like work done before the team fight even starts from color, or you're relying very heavily on Bruness to look for that angle to get onto the Jinx. Whereas when you're looking at Movistar Riders, there are so many people that can threaten both Odie and Czajek really in these team fights, including Maxlore, Marky, and even xKenzuke if he goes for a more aggressive position. I think you have got more tools to potentially threaten that backline on PDW if you're Movistar Riders.
I think that's a very good point. Honestly, you can just jump in with a lot of champions that you can't do the same with the PDW. The counterpoint is like you've got Orianna. You know, Orianna on PDW is gonna create an area that makes it hard for you to walk through. Malphite does not care about that. His ultimate's gonna go through it whether or not you walk through Orianna's ball or not. I don't think Viego will care a huge amount about it either, but in general, that is kind of like the counterplay there. Like, yes, Movistar can jump in, but then you've got to deal with getting the rest of your team to follow that up, and that's where Orianna can kind of create those zones of control and win those team fights for a team.
We'll keep our eyes when we get towards that stage of the game. As you mentioned, top lane priority for Color, and they are really investing into knowing where Maxlore is right now. 2 wards expended on that red buff, and Maxlore even went Razor Beaks to blue to try and give himself like a veil of fog of war to help him out here, and that didn't matter because Color walks straight into the jungle and places another ward down on that red side jungle to know exactly where Maxlore ends up. But Maxlore's gone for some very interesting pathing here and has now ended up on the bot lane Scuttle, so we'll see Scuttles traded between these 2 junglers.
I think it's a good optimization where like combining your lane strength with your individual specific champion strength in Viego. So like starting at an AoE camp, that's great because Viego can do that really well, and then you're moving around and you're ending up on the bot side, which is where you're gonna have that lane pro, because you're definitely not gonna have it with Jayce to Malphite early game. So you want it to end up on the bot side of that map, but also combine having an efficient clear and just getting the camps that Viego wants to take early.
Viego now back into his own red sun jungle. It's been a full clear from Bruness, and he is very happy to just make a reset back towards those Krugs. Had a very simple early pathing from Bruness this time around. Maxlore's had to do a little bit more working around the map. Bruness is just very happy to walk into his camps and look for the angle play here. Maybe threatening xKenzuke. He is level 4. Oh, xKenzuke is going to have to flash, maybe. Has got that phase rush activated. That will be the flash from Bruness, and I think a little greedy. There. Expecting the phase rush to do the work for him from xKenzuke, and that'll be the first blood.
Very greedy, honestly. Like, you didn't have any vision at all in that area, and you should really have an idea of where Zin's going to be, because he did do that full clear and then just reset. Like, there was no 4D chess going on with Bruness's pathing. Sure, it might be hard to predict Maxlore and what he's going to be doing, but can't say the same for that Zhao. So yeah, that's just not great, honestly, and a bit of an advantage would have been built up from Maxlore because of the way he pathed, because he's now getting the respawned camps, which give you more gold and experience. But that's not going to exist anymore with that first blood going over to the Zin.
And they got some warding down in that jungle. Kind of keep an eye on where Maxlore's camps will be. Maxlore now has to work his way through. Should be appearing on that ward that you've just seen him pass by. But if not, has definitely appeared on the control ward that you can see there.
Maxlore wants to scout out this chicken camp anytime you can still camps from the enemy jungler. That's always worth it, always a good thing to do, especially in a situation like this where your team has total control of the map. As you can see in mid lane, it's a reset from Czajek, bot lane, a reset coming through from there as well. So if you were to walk into their jungle and take any camps, there'd be absolutely no one stopping you. And the beautiful thing about taking enemy jungle camps is you get +1 camp and the enemy gets -1 camp. So it's kind of like double. You're getting double the reward for taking 1 camp. Always worth doing. No camps though, just going to be the dragon instead. But still, first dragon, very good stuff there from Movistar.
Yeah, they'll take it. Maxlore was dropping a little behind. Now XKenzuke does have that flash available. So if Bruness were able to find his way into a lane once more, XKenzuke does still have a get out of jail free card. Though you see that Bruness is working towards the top side of the map here. It is not level 6 for Marky right now. And it's going to be a big commit to the tower dive. He is full HP. Is hit level 6. Oh, this is going to be a risky one to go for now, I feel. Never mind. I mean, actually, the tower might finish him off. Okay, one for one. 1 for 1, you take it.
Yeah, not too bad. He is missing minions here, but he has got his TP up, so I think you'll go for that play any day of the week if you are PDW, you are able to like get something down to Malphite. Getting a kill on Malphite isn't really a big deal either. But as far as it goes, Movistar, you know, that could have been a lot worse as well. We're just going to see a repeat of this one right here. You think with that ultimate that it's going to be a really hard one to maneuver. And to be honest, it is what gets that return kill. But Malphite at this point in the game, very squishy, dies very fast.
Bot lane prio pretty heavy right now for Movistar Riders. And Bruness over the wall will mark his red buff. Now will be targeted, dives over, actually has the support of his team coming through. Maxlore very aggressive here onto Bruness as the hook comes through. It's a beautiful hook from Jewel, and here comes the possessions. Maxlore on the front line once more, but a beautiful combo of guns from OD means that he's able to get a return kill. Movistar could not commit to the fight the way they wanted to, and a good collapse, including from the Jayce, by the way. Color had walked his way down towards that bot side jungle.
He did, yeah, exactly. He didn't even have to TP there. That's a really big advantage there for Movistar. Generally just walking his way down. It was quite aggressive here from Movistar, though. I think because in this situation, you're not really expecting the Jayce to be there. I think that did catch them off guard a little bit. It's a great return play, though, from PDW to make sure that, yes, you know, Movistar, they get the move, they get the red buff, you know, they make the play happen, but it's not for free. And that's the important thing right here is trading's happening in the top side with Marky going a little bit low here. Has to be careful, it doesn't have that ultimate up just yet.
My god, the amount of vision that I've already seen from PDW in that jungle of Maxlore. They are really trying to keep their eyes on this Viego across this early game. You can see a control ward around the Krug camp there, likely put down by Color earlier on. It just means they have complete information in this game, and then information is half the battle. Here comes the Realm Warp, though. No one's going to commit to it on from the side of Movistar Riders. Bruness by himself for the time being on this River Scuttler. So River Scuttler, Rift Herald, what am I talking about?
It's the big Scuttler.
It's the big Scuttler.
Have time to collapse. Jinx is coming up. Aphelios is staying bot. If this is an extended fight, that will be the difference.
It's getting drawn out for the time being. You can see the Rift Herald might come down to a 50-50, but with Jinx committing to this play, you can see that PDW do not want to risk the engage. Oh, it's just reset ever so slightly. You hate to see it, but it is still enough time for Maxlore to just take this one away. And I don't think that PDW, maybe they are. Maybe the reset is cause enough for them to look for the engage here. Because that's a nice hook onto the Braum for the time being. Marky still has that engage available. There's the disengage coming through. That's the big ultimate onto the backline. Bruness taken low, but a beautifully timed ultimate stops the Mega Death Rocket from doing any work. But the rest of Movistar Riders are chasing them down. Bruness wants to be the target. The hook comes through. They've been so good so far from Jewel. And there's the possession that Maxlore gets a bit of health reset. XKenzuke will be forced away by Odie, and it'll be the heartbreaker across the wall for Maxlore to get him out of safety. Speaking
of heartbreaks, though, on this play, it should have been great for PDW. Like, the fact that reset was perfect as well. It just buys enough time. You just chill. You don't need to do this at all. Keep Aphelios bot side. Get him some of those plates as well. Get him that extra minion wave. And suddenly, this play is no longer just a Rift Herald, but instead, you're trading the Rift Herald for Movistar for like turbo funneling your AD carry, and that's worth it. That's fine. It's the Aphelios. You'll be cool with that. Instead, PDW go for the fight, and sure, you know, you pick up a kill, but it's just the fact that you've left Aphelios, like Aphelios is here as well, so he's not farming bot at this point. You just didn't need to do that. You just stick him bot. Like, you just don't have to care so much about Herald. I just think PDW could have let that one go, and it wouldn't have been a bad thing at all. And instead, they played into Movistar's hands.
I think they could have just like you said, got plates onto Aphelios. Like, you just allow him to absorb some plates on that bot side, and realistically, Movistar Riders would have got the Rift Herald either way.
Exactly. Straight up. What do you use Herald? What do you use Herald for, man? Plates. Why won't you just get plates anyway? It's the same thing.
However, it is PDW with the slight gold edge right now, 1,000 gold. They've been that way since First Blood, though, so it has been a relatively consistent pattern. I will say there is a big grouping here from PDW for this second Drake, and there is going to be a teleport coming through from Ryze. So we may see another team fight open up here as the engage comes through. Remember, Unstoppable Force not yet available for Marky, and that does limit the team fight capabilities of Movistar Riders ever so slightly, as Marky now finds his angle onto Bruness. He's already forced to use his ultimate. There is a Ryze on the sideline looking for the anglers. Maxlore going 1v1, gets the smite on the dragon, but will eventually drop down as the Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't find the kill. That is a huge engage coming out from Color, and he gets a massive amount of damage down too, dodges away from the zap, which keeps himself alive for the very time being, and kubYD will eventually allow Odie to pick up the kill on xKenzuke with a well-timed stopwatch. PDW find a great team fight there despite losing the dragon.
How on earth did Bruness not die in that fight? I thought right from the beginning, with the whole positioning and the way everything was happening right there, he was just gone. He was dead to rights right there. I'm gonna have to. All right, so he's just completely separated from his team. They're split as all heck. Ryze is coming up behind them. How does he not die? I don't fully understand it. He's just alive. He just lives, and then that's a really good jump in right here from the Jayce. You would expect, honestly, in this situation, when you've got the Malphite especially, like this 5v5, you can catch people out of position, you can get the favorable fights. Not to happen though for Movistar in that one. Instead, it is PW coming out on top, and that's a fairly sizable gold lead right now. Yeah, look at that. Jayce now doing the highest damage, also 303 with a massive gold bounty. He's sitting pretty in this game.
Color is in a great spot. The investment, or the choice to put that Jayce top side of the map here in a blind situation as well, calling Movistar Riders bluff for an answer on the top side of the map, has worked out beautifully here so far for PDW. And remember, got to reiterate what this game means for both of these teams. If Movistar Riders win, clearly they are going through as first seed, no questions asked. If PDW pick up the win, they are going to force a tiebreaker situation where they will keep their hopes of exiting this group as first seed alive.
It's a good start for the Polish representatives. These teams have already met once before, and it was Movistar who took the win this time around, trying to right that record and ruin the perfect score from Spain's #3 seed. Just how stacked is that Superliga this year? It's PDW losing that bot lane tower. Gonna trade it for a top lane tower.
Oh, Venzer forces the engage out of Color here. That'll be the zap coming through. Can they find the shutdown? Super Mega Death Rocket not able to go down, as it is Bruness versus the world. He'll eventually drop. Venzer picks up the kill. And that was a little too much from Color. Baited his team in there, and Movistar Riders will gladly take the win.
But that's a big thing. It's a big thing not losing that shutdown on the Jayce. Maxlore flashed in and just missed the tip of his stun right there, which would have been enough to take Jayce down. Unfortunate for Movistar, but still a good play for them. They do get that kill, get the second charge off on Shelly too. And it gives a little bit of time for Marky just to be chilling in that top side to get a little bit more tanky so that he can handle this Jayce lane.
Yeah, he's got the steel caps. Steel caps for the time being, but otherwise not exactly tanky to write home about right now. Richie only on a Barmy Cinder and a Ruby Crystal with a random cloth armor picked up as well. He's struggling for gold income, which the same can't be said for Color in this game.
No, Color's rich, man. He's totally fine. He's 1.4k ahead of his opponent in that top side. And you can see, honestly, that's just one. So sometimes what you see with gold leads is it's all on one person. And so if you're not playing around that person, it doesn't mean that much. As you can see, just looking down the totals right there, there's a lot of gold on a lot of people on the side of PDW. If you take a look, you know, Odie's up there, Color, Czajek, Bruness, they're all above their components, or their opponents, I should say, in their roles. And it's just Venzer who's having a payday on the side of Movistar.
Trying to catch out Venzer here on the top side of the map. Doesn't have his flash available. You can see that Bruness was looking for it as Marky now goes toe-to-toe with Color here. That's the unstoppable force, though. That could be a shutdown as the flash comes through. It is not enough to collapse in on him. But that tier 2 tower is up for grabs.
Yeah, but what's PDW going to get mid, though? Tier 2 tower does give you a lot of gold, so it's not too bad to take that one down. But I don't know, losing your mid tower, that's a big tower to lose. It's a very useful one to have as far as map control goes. PDW can now push further in that mid lane, and if you're pushing down further, it means you can walk into the enemy jungle, get a bit of control in that area, get the vision down and whatnot, set up plays, whatever you want to do. I think, when all's said and done, that favors PDW, but pretty close one to getting the shutdown as well on Jayce. Doesn't have his flash anymore either. I
think also with the fact that you picked up the Rift Herald too, really does make this a little bit better for PDW, because of course with that next dragon coming up, now of course Movistar Riders can afford to let this go, but with that next dragon coming up, that is a way to create some natural priority in a lane, which will allow you to set up more effectively for this third dragon.
Exactly, and this third dragon is spawning pretty soon right here. 3 seconds until it's up. Now Movistar have taken both dragons so far in this game. If they were to take this one, they'd be on soul point. PDW are aware of this, and they're not going to let it happen. PDW are in the lead right now. They do have the advantage, and they do have the first move in the river, which allows them to get down that vision. Movistar would have to face check in, and they don't have great face checking tools. Yes, you have a tank, you have Marky, but that's not really enough. You kind of want something to just like scout out bushes, like some abilities that you can use. Only thing they have is like Jinx Zap, which has a pretty high cooldown for that stuff, so not going to contest the river, not going to get that dragon, and instead just going to concede it as that Herald goes down bot side. xKenzuke taking tower top.
I think pretty smart, in all honesty, from Movistar Riders. I think there's no reason to randomly run it down for what is only the first dragon in the game for the enemy team. Of course, you do want to keep that threat of soul point up, especially versus a team where they're relying on the side lane pressure of a Jayce. Speaking of which, the unstoppable force comes through, but the Braum is there to support kubYD as well. Color may be the target of a shutdown here if Maxlore can find it, and he does. That is a double kill for Movistar Riders. Just this time, bit off more than they could chew, and Jewel not done yet, has that hook available, looking for a potential flay, but it's just enough to secure that River Scuttler.
That's a beautiful play right there from Movistar, getting the engage onto Malphite. Oh, that's a good attempt right there with flash from Czajek. The Malphite engage buys enough time for the Ryze ult to come through there as well. And the shutdown, most importantly, went over to Maxlore. That's beautiful. That's exactly someone you want to have that shutdown, getting it onto the Viego. Good stuff from Movistar.
Let's take a look back at that little engage then.
All right, so look how much time you can buy as Malphite. Like, you jump in first, and then just allows the rest of your team to get close. Like, there's the party pool right there. You can't really see it necessarily, because there's a lot of other stuff coming down. But just the fact that you're able to lock someone down for all that time is really, really nice. And having that huge shutdown go over to your Viego, someone who's going to be buying a lot of damage, someone who can have a high impact in fights. You'd love to get a bit more gold in him.
Maxlore should be able to escape. It's a bit of a guessing game as to which way he's gone here. Although I say that there is a control ward down, so that's a complete lie. Maxlore able to escape nicely. That's one of the beautiful parts of Viego's kit. Can just press a button and randomly escape and go invisible.
Yeah, amongst all the other stuff he has, he's also got invisibility, because why not? Oh yeah, he also speeds up. Oh, and he also gets attack speed in that invisibility. Yeah, it's a pretty nice kit right there. As he's spending that money, man. He's not sitting on that. You know, if Viego's grandparents saw this, don't spend it all at once. They'd be very upset with him, because he's just gone back and bought a phage, a pickaxe, and a ruby crystal. Man, this guy's balling.
In a good spot. And we have another dragon spawning in 2 minutes 30 seconds. We have the Baron coming on to the Rift in just about 30 seconds time as well. Don't expect it to be any crazy 20-minute Baron fiestas here. Neither team feeling strong enough. Speaking of which, 2-item Jinx, the rapid fire cannons there, the Gale Force as well. Don't see too many Gale Forces in the current meta for AD carries. But Venzer feels that that's important here.
It's good for him to just stay safe. Like, both those items are pretty much the quintessential AD carry items to keep yourself at range, to keep yourself alive. He knows, you know, Venzer knows that if he walks too far forward, like you get caught in a shockwave or like in an Aphelios ulti or something like that, you could be in a lot of trouble. So just firing out damage from the back, knowing the rest of his team is going to be jumping in, like Malphite, Viego, Ryze, they're all going to be going forward, and instead Venzer can sit back and just pop out that deeps.
So for the first time in the game, Movistar Riders find themselves in a gold advantage. However slim it may be, they have turned that gold back in their favor after a couple of successful fights. And we talked a little bit about expectations for the way this game plays out. Both teams want to scale. Both teams want to find, you know, time and space to get the items necessary. But we need to also talk about the fact that the pure team fight strength again lies with Movistar Riders, partly due to the influence of that Malphite and how safe this Jinx is going to be, as well as the fact there isn't really anybody to threaten the Jinx effectively from PDW when it comes to these team fights. And it feels like Color is doing more and more in the side lane because he has to here, because that is really his role.
And he's the one who got ahead early, so there's not really anyone that can match the Jayce. Unfortunately for Czajek.
Burnt that flash earlier. I think this could be a very, very, very dead Orianna. They don't need to commit too much from it. It is a desperation shockwave because he's got nothing else to do. But it is going to be a pincer up around the Baron here. So this is going to be a saying, we don't care what Color's doing in the side lane. We are going to straight up force the Baron in this situation.
Yeah, and a rock and a hard place for PDW. Like, what do you do? What choice do you make? Do you try and contest this one? It's early enough that he might try it. They're going for it.
I thought they might have committed to the inhibitor at this stage in time, though. That duel, oh, it's a nice one onto Bruness. Marky overextends just a little bit. Bruness into the fight. Flayed back, gets taken down, and Maxlore starts that engage. Jinx has been reset, but Odie really pumping out damage. It is actually a really successful fight for PDW. The zap to buy some time. Venzer, I'm not sure you want to stay in this fight, as that is enough from PDW to dissuade the Baron here.
I was on the same page as you there, Kino, mate. I thought that was too late. I thought Movistar had the Baron, and it would have been a better choice just to go for that side lane instead. But what a great fight from PDW. All clumped up. Look at the value of this Braum and Xin ulti right here. Xin gets caught, but then he pops down his ult, and you can't bring him down. And Marky just melts, man. He's paper in these fights. Odie is untouched on the backside. Aphelios so strong in those grouped up engages, had that perfect gun situation as well for the team fight, and that was massive for PW, especially considering it was a 4v5. Yeah, just look at that, absolutely nutty.
Don't think we're going to see this tower drop here, but Venzer gets a bit of damage down onto. I think one of the problems that you're seeing here is that when you expend that Malphite ultimate on anybody other than Aphelios or anybody other than Czajek, you're struggling for impact in these teamfights. This Cup gets pulled in. You can see on the side lane, Marky now versus Bruness has to be a little careful as the zap comes through. We have got another little team fight opening up here. There'll be a dance around the Baron. What you saw, didn't see off screen, by the way, was the fact that Odie was able to secure that second dragon in the game. Are they actually just straight up going for this?
Yeah, they see Odie's really far away. He's just taken red buff. This goes down very fast. I'm not sure if PW are going to be in position.
I'm not sure they will as the hook comes through. Marky here to try and buy some time as the flash comes in. Can they secure it? Can they get it? In the meantime, Maxlore's committing. He smites early, but he finds it. And Marky finally doing his job on the front line. Soaking up the damage, but Odie, he's in there. He's in there. Can Venzer get it? He can't. What a monster, Odie. Face tank Aphelios, and he comes away with a triple.
A clean ace for PDW in that fight. They weren't able to stop the Baron, but they kill everyone on the side of Movistar. An absolute slaughter. And Odie just popping off on that Aphelios 700 gold shutdown. We'll take another look as Jill gets another good hook on the Czajek. My goodness, this was a clencher. This whole fight was a clencher right here. Watch Odie, look at him. Massive ulti right there and just jumps in. He's oh my goodness, man. It's just not enough. You just can't do it. It's an Aphelios, man. It's just he just
again though. The answer. They used Marky's ult on both Bruness and I think it was on kubYD. I keep saying kubYD. I think it was on kubYD. I think they used the Malphite ultimate in again a suboptimal situation. Like you need to use it on Odie at this point in time. The guy is 6-0 forward 3 items. He needs to be the target that you lock down. You can't just let him run into the front line completely unhindered and do what he did with I think he had did he have Severum and Infernum there? Or I'm not exactly sure. He definitely had Severum, and that's why he was able to just pop off.
Yeah. He had the Lysol one and just jumped into the middle of everyone, just span around in a circle. It's brilliant stuff for him. Again, perfect guns for the situation. And I agree with you. You know, if Malphite can't get onto the Aphelios, then Movistar, I just don't see them winning these fights. I think it's going to be too hard for them. They have to catch him out of position. And now, if you look at the inventory of OD, he does have that stopwatch. So even if he does get caught out of position, unless you can proper burn him down, then it's just not going to be enough. And yeah, this has been an odd game. Just by looking at that goal total, it's very odd stuff happening. And I just think, you know, that the superior team fighting right here from PDW has definitely been the big difference so far in this game.
You really felt like if Movistar Riders executed properly, they should be the team that has that team fight advantage. But right now, you know, I think you're seeing some of the weaknesses of that team fight, that if Marky doesn't find the right angle, doesn't find the right target, then you have no one to threaten Odie. Just like I thought there was no one to threaten the Jinx. Maybe I got that wrong. Odie's enough to threaten the Jinx all by himself. Maxlore, a little bit overextended here, will be forced to go into the mist to get himself away and join the rest of his team.
It's exactly as you said, though. Like, you have the tools to threaten Aphelios. It's just they're not doing it. They're not using the Malphite onto Aphelios. And a lot of the times, you know, these team fights have been around Baron, and Movistar have tried to turn into PDW. And they have, because they haven't focused Aphelios down, they haven't been able to reach him, they're just playing into him, like literally just walking up to him. And he just sits there and fires back. And that's just the perfect situation for Aphelios. And I do think, you know, in these fights coming up, you're gonna have to get something down onto him. You're gonna have to find that engage onto him, get that CC. But it's gonna be hard to do that stopwatch, but that is your best bet if you're on Movistar.
I think also one of the things that clearly showing its head in this game is the fact that Bruness, with his ultimate, is able to disengage the fight versus this heavy range coming out from Venzer and buy time. Like, the Zhao just sits there and says, well, do you know what, mate? Unless you're in melee range, I'm not going to be bothered about you. And that's where obviously Maxlore's job comes in, but you've got a lot of sustain, you've got that Sterex now, you're pretty tanky if you're Bruness. And it's okay if he just pops that ultimate. There's so much time to allow his team to position. That's why, because so much damage goes down, Marky feels like he needs to use that ultimate. He needs to use that ultimate early to at least set up a reset for Venzer, but they never quite managed to make it happen. And that then means that the Aphelios is completely untouched.
Also, you have that extra threat on color. Like, you have a tank, you have an engage from Malphite, and that's something that you don't have on PDW, but it's an extra damage threat. So instead, you know, there's more targets for you to try and focus, and that works in the favor of PDW in these fights because it means that it just gives more room for Aphelios to operate if people are focusing other people instead.
That was a bit of a risky dragon there. The box is used to disengage. However, they get away with it as they're able to use that Ryze ultimate, the Realm Morph, to get themselves back into a defensive position for this mid lane inhibitor tower. Marky kind of wants it though. He really wants to look for it. That's a good hook. That's a good hook onto kubYD, who managed to force them away with the ultimate. Marky still has that ult available. Maxlore still looking for a sideline pressure. There is still a flank available. This is potentially one of the best teamfight angles that you could maybe look for if you're Movistar Riders, because you have a lot left available to you here.
Yeah, and you use the ultimates from Braum and from Aphelios in that last engage. You still got flash ulti on Marky. Keep your eyes on him. If this fight happens, it's going to be because he decides to pull the trigger. Seems instead Movistar is going to take the inside track into this mid tower.
We do still have that. Oh, that is risky indeed, as you said. Now Bruness does pocket. He gets pulled towards the Jinx. That's actually what they wanted here. Can't quite find the reset. Still keeps himself alive as the Super Mega Death Rocket comes through. It is a 1-for-1 overall. But that is okay because they get the mid lane tier 1. They were after that as that first priority. The second tower not quite able to drop as OD comes in with that Severum. Has now dropped away. He flashes forward. He's looking for the engage. Venzer doesn't. He can't walk up to it. It's a bait. Oh, it's a bait, mate. That was a complete lantern bait. What on earth? He was like, do I take the lantern? It's right next to the enemies. Do I take the lantern? Oh, no.
No, the lantern betrays Venzer.
Oh no, Jewel betrayed Venzer at the most optimal opportunity.
Oh, this is a bit greedy parking though from PDW here. You got people on the top side of the map, and you still had your engage tools open for Movistar. It wasn't quite as clean as they'd like. So when OD gets it and this TP flank from Czajek, you know you're in a bit of a pickle. And yeah, we're just going to have to watch this London back again, aren't we? Jewel definitely tries to help Venzer.
Oh, it was so early. It was so, yeah.
He was thinking about it though, wasn't he? It was really... It's tragic. That is tragic, as you can see in the pit as well. That's going to be Baron over the PDW.
Won't get it with the Super Mega Death Rocket steal. It does mean that Baron has now opened up. That is flash down for Odie, by the way, though, So if Movistar Riders are maybe looking for some kind of opportunity here, they could potentially just look for that ultimate onto Odie and try and take him down with the Marky.
Yeah. So as the stopwatchers get out of jail free card, but as you say, no flash is a big deal as well. That'll make it a little bit easier. So right now, Movistar just going to try and hold on. One of the downsides of this Movistar comp is they're very low range outside of Jinx. So that means if you're walking up and trying to put out your deeps, if you're Viego, if you're Ryze, the Orianna can do a lot of work. Speaking of Orianna, she's in trouble.
She is in trouble indeed, as Marky unfortunately mistimes the ultimate. That is a good angle, though. They have the wall to work with for the time being, and the Moonlight Vigil does not land. Bruness has popped his ultimate too. He now becomes a little bit more vulnerable. And speaking of which, he gets taken down. Venzer finds the first reset. It is enough right now for Movistar Riders to weather the storm.
And that's all they need. You're just buying time against Baron right here. If you can, as you say, weather this storm, stop that push going down, that's an absolute win right there for Movistar. Buying yourself time, you're going to pick up some of that farm as well. Really, really good stuff right there. Czajek just getting a little bit caught on that Orianna. Not respecting the Thresh hooks, which honestly, let's just say it. Jordan's been an absolute monster on this Thresh this game, catching people left, right, and center.
He really has. We're not too far behind in terms of items if you're Venzer as well. Obviously, with all of the performance that Odie's had, 705, he has got that item edge on you. We have another dragon spawning in 50 seconds, but Bruness will be up for it. It will be the sole point. Do Movistar Riders feel comfortable enough to go straight up for a team fight here? Odie still doesn't have that flash available, but as we mentioned before, working with a stopwatch for the time being.
If you can set up a trap though, you can use Fog of War here for Movistar. It doesn't take a lot for you to turn really, really easily on a PW. Someone's going to have to face check into you. But do you have the time to do that before Jayce takes your entire top side? There's still 30 seconds left on the Dragon. You've got position, but you're just a bit too early.
Marky's looking for it. He's looking for the engage here. I think Color is just going to end up taking this inhibitor tower. May even end up going for the inhibitor as well. Movistar Riders, they're not willing to commit to the Dragon. They may end up losing more than they hope for. And that's going to be the engage. They find the only angle that they can. It's onto Czajek as well. That is what they're looking for. But in the meantime, Odie, untouched. It is face tank Aphelios activated again. Severum too strong. There is nothing that Movistar Riders can do. Their base is in bloody shambles. Color is just backdoor. They're just 4v5'd. And Movistar Riders get absolutely obliterated by the first seed from the Ultraliga.
And that means we're gonna have a tiebreaker game at the end of the day to decide who comes out as the #1 seed in this group. Both Movistar and PDW finishing 5-1 in the group.
My God, man. Like, they knew it. I mean, Color played that so well. He was like, well, make a decision, guys. Make a decision. Is it going to be Soul? Is it going to be Engage? And they couldn't. And Maxlore was random. I don't know really why he was down there, but he was on the bottom red side jungle, so they weren't grouped up for that first opportunity of an Engage. And you could see that Marky was keen for it. Marky was keen for it. He was like, I want to make this happen. But again, Aphelios just shows you the better late game hyper carry is always Aphelios. Jinx was not able to contest. Severum just way too strong at allowing him to step into that fight and make it very difficult for any CC. And once he saw it as well as we did. Once the Malphite ultimate's down, he's like, boys, I do not care. I'm walking in.
He did it. He either walked in or he flashed in. It was one of the two. And then they win the team fight. Just absolute domination there from Aphelios and Odie.
Yeah, well, it keeps this group interesting then, at least for the time being. We have that first and second seed to be decided later on. We're going to go to a short break. When we're back, we'll break that date game down a little further, and then we'll gear up for our not final game of the night of Tricked versus Penta.
He's going to flash in, and he steals the bomb! How did that connect by entry?
As EU Masters Champions!
Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters, and with that, we have a tiebreaker tonight. It is going to be again between PDW and Movistar Riders, and it's going to be for the first seed coming out of this group. And if it is anything like that game just there, inject it straight into my veins. I want more of that for our game 7 of the night. That was an absolute banger, but it was PDW that were able to execute on those fights, and all credit to OD. He knew exactly where he needed to be. He knew which triggers to look for to go in and pull it and make those team fights happen.
Yeah, he was absolutely outstanding on that Aphelios. The pure terror of a Movistar right there. I would not be surprised to see that going down in the ban phase next game. Like, absolutely ridiculous stuff. It was a really back and forth game, honestly, though, here. Until the last few team fights when Movistar really just dropped the ball. It looked like they were doing decently, honestly. Like, they had decent lane phase. They had a few hiccups along the way, but were able to claw back advantages. And it was really just in those kind of mid to late fights, this being one of the first ones for the two teams where it just didn't work out for them. And always keep your eyes on Odie. He's coming in near the bottom of your screen. There he is. Just watch Aphelios do Aphelios things.
It's just, yeah, right there. That's why this champ got the 200 years balance name. Is pretty disgusting. This is that final team fight as well. Again, you know, once Marky made that happen, Odie was like, well, now's my time to shine.
Yeah.
Moonlight Vigilance.
Yeah,
And
the fact that that ability doesn't even auto-attack during it, he literally just slides through, spinning around like a Beyblade, firing out all these damages. Yeah, it's pretty nice stuff. No surprise to see the damage chart being the way it is right there. To be fair though, good shout out to top lane. I think that was a pretty good performance as well. The Jayce was able to really apply pressure in the lane phase, and I think he also put a lot of pressure onto Movistar with the way he was playing the side lanes.
Yeah, I think it's a really intelligent pick as well from PDW. It was a blue side 5, and the answer was Malphite on R5. It felt like Movistar Riders didn't really, they were essentially saying, we sack the side lane off, we don't care about it, we're playing for the team fights, and they were still unable to make those happen the way they wanted to as well. So just all round good play from PDW. And I think we're starting to see why this team is the #1 seed from the Ultra League. The colors of this team are coming through, no pun intended. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I know, sorry. I think at the end of the day, you really are starting to see them live up to their potential, realistically.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we always have high expectations of the #1 seed coming out of Poland. Didn't deliver, honestly, in spring, but they won it all this time last year, and PDW looked to be on perfect form. I'm really looking forward to this last tiebreaker game at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is obviously the name or what everyone was looking for towards being decided, the first seed coming out of our group. And I think based on that performance, PDW definitely coming as the favorites. Movistar Riders have shown why they should be feared throughout this stage, but right there, it's always nice to have the momentum coming out of the last game. PDW and Movistar Riders sitting at 5-1 apiece here in Group B. Of course, after this, we do have Tricked versus Penta for their final games of the European Masters. It may not mean much on paper, but for the players, it is the last opportunity, Foxdrop, to really show your stuff. And as Vendetto said, hopefully these guys get picked up. Hopefully we see these guys go to either bigger regions or maybe even beyond eventually. This is their last opportunity on stream to showcase why they are top tier talent. And I think both teams should be looking to take this seriously.
Absolutely. You know, Tricked, it's the first time they've been to EU Masters, so they want to make the most of it there. And for Penta, they haven't won at all. You know, and for any team coming out of the dark regions does not be able to pick up a single win in groups. That's always a disappointment, especially for the team that finished first in the regular season domestically.
Yeah, and they'll want to break that streak that they've had since playoffs, and this, for them, is going to have to be the place that they start it. Alas, it is their final game of the European Masters. Same to Tricked, but both teams will going to want to go out with a bang. We are cutting to a quick break. When we're back, that 6th game of the night will be coming your way, but of course, we're not done there.
He's gonna flash in, and he steals the Braum. How does that connect by injury?
As EU Masters champions.